And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win? Today's Who Would Win comes to us from King Snag and Quentin Blake, who asked the question, who would win in a fight, Alien X or Beerus? Now, I have done Beerus versus Alien X when I did the Gods of Destruction versus Alien X and Dr. Manhattan before, but I've not done these two on their own. And you might think, well, this goes into the speed round. Alien X is a god. He can literally rewrite reality, freeze time, all that, wipe from existence. And yes, he can do that. However, I want to be very clear. While I don't stand by Dragon Ball characters win all the time, that doesn't mean I overlook the power of the Dragon Ball universe. It's a powerful universe. The Ben 10 universe really only has a couple heavy hitters, Alien X being one of them. And Beerus actually scales, when you actually stop and really look at how strong Beerus is, scales above the power output of Alien X. What do I mean by all this? Well, if we actually look at the Dragon Ball universe, the Dragon Ball universe is scaled somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,500 times larger than our own. Just that one universe, just Universe 7. And the Ben 10 universe, while it certainly must be bigger than our universe, or at the very minimum is at least a comparable size to our universe, just due to all the alien planets out there. That being said, all the galaxies and universes out there, you could easily make the argument it's just big. it's just about the same size. But even if it's like a couple times bigger, it's very easily depicted as not being anywhere near that size in terms of comparison. Beerus, in just a punch clash, not even going all out with Goku, was able to tear this thing almost apart. We know for a fact that Beerus is capable of destroying his own universe if he so chose to. And in fact, his power even exceeds that. Beerus is usually calced somewhere in the realm of like a low to mid multiversal threat. Usually more like a low multiversal, but the fact of the matter is he's well beyond multiversal, or universal. And that's his universe, which is much larger than our own. And Goku, who, again, just as a low Super Saiyan God is able to shake his own universe, is far exceeds that capacity with stronger Super Saiyan God form, Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken, Ultra Instinct, all of that, and Beerus is still stated to be stronger than him. Alien X, as powerful as it is, exists outside of its own universe, which doesn't actually make him outerversal, by the way. It just means he exists outside the universe. Outerversal doesn't technically speaking, I guess it makes him outerversal because he lives outside the universe, but in terms of like a power output, he's not affecting like the whole of creation beyond just the universe. At least not generally. We don't have actually a huge amount of feats with Alien X, to be honest. We've seen him a couple times, but not anything that really gives us the full scope of his abilities. Beerus also obviously is a master of martial arts, has at least a base Ultra Instinct, energy blast, also capable of absorbing energy, and Hakai, which allows him to literally erase anything's existence. Beerus also negs Toon Force. He negs gag characters. Whenever him and Aurelia fought it out, or tried to fight it out, Goku even said, yeah, no, Beerus is way too strong for gag characters to work, which means Toon Force and gag are interchangeable, which means he's strong against a certain type of reality warping. I want to be very clear when I say that, because that is what, in essence, Toon Force kind of is. It's a type of reality warping, but it's not straight reality warping is the thing. It's not like, hey, I can like turn the planet into an orange. Hey, I can, hey, the sun is now strawberries, or a gaseous strawberry mist or something like that. It's not that type of reality warping, at least not generally, but it is still a type of reality warping, and Beerus negs gag characters. At least he negged Aurelia. That all said, Beerus would still have a problem with Alien X. I'm not trying to blow smoke up Beerus's ass here. Beerus also would not be taking this fight lightly. Like, Beerus takes every situation seriously, even because he knows his power, and he reacts appropriately. When Goku tried to take him on Kinkai's planet, he may not have looked serious, but he was taking Goku as serious as he could take him at that level of power. He just was not used to having a challenge very often. With Alien X can pretty much do everything Beerus can do, and then some. He can manipulate time. He can manipulate reality. He can literally recreate a universe almost verbatim. But in terms of scaling, it's very clear that Beerus outscales him by a large amount in terms of just sheer power output. Just again, due to the just natural size of the Dragon Ball universe. But again, power isn't everything in a fight. The amount of hacks that Alien X has certainly would give Beerus problems, and it's certainly a different type of reality warping than what Beerus is used to. The problem really comes down into this fight, at least for Alien X, is that in Dragon Ball, we know that higher levels of power can just completely negate lower levels of power. And even though Alien X can warp reality, warp time, all that, it's on a lower level of like power output. Like if Alien X is, let's say, a 10 out, whatever, Beerus is much, or let's actually go in the opposite direction here. If Beerus is like a 100, just using a random number here, Alien X is more like a 30 in terms of power output, just compared to where their universes scale and how powerful they are. But the other problem is we've never seen straight reality warping in Dragon Ball for as far as we know. So we don't really know how someone like Beerus would really handle that. We know, like, with magic, Beerus frankly didn't still see Moro as a threat. He could have handled Moro. I believe he said that. Even though he had magic absorption ability, still he never actually viewed Moro as a big enough threat for him to deal with. So it's tough. This is one of those scenarios that's really weird, because on paper, when you look at everything they can do, Alien X should completely neg Beerus. And by the way, you might be saying, well, you said in that video, yeah, it's called Time Changes Your Opinions. But when you actually look at like the scaling, because of just his higher level power output and level of power, not to mention he can use what would be later called Ultra Ego too. So any damage he takes, he just can increase to his power. So yeah, because of just the sheer mass difference in power output between these two, I would frankly lean towards Beerus. But there's a big caveat with that, in that Alien X still has a lot of abilities that, like, for example, I don't believe for a second Alien X could erase Beerus from existence. I don't believe that. He literally just outscales Alien X multiple times over. Now, I'm sure, hold on, I just want to be sure before I continue talking here that I am talking Alien X right. Let's see here. Alien X power level. Let's see here. Power scale. Let's see what the internet says the scale level of power is for Alien X, generally speaking, for a celestial sapien. So let's see. So the general consensus, generally, let's see here. They don't die naturally. They basically live overall forever. Their regeneration, apparently they're basically kind of like considered low godly. They are higher dimensional, but that's because they live in a pocket dimension. That doesn't really actually mean much for scaling, living in a pocket dimension. Let's see here. Comparable to Galactic Geiger, who can regenerate with the help of his mind and conscience after being completely destroyed by a galaxy-sized black hole. And I hate ads. I always hate ads. Let's see here. Multiple selves, a causality, exists outside of space-time continuum and born in the forge of creation that is outside in sync with all time, which is a system of cause and effect inverse, which I think might sway my argument a little bit towards Alien X here. It's further confirmed by Professor Paradox again that destroying all time can destroy all causality itself. They have omniscience, able to create a universe, but we're talking. Again, Beerus does scale to the multiversal. I need to see something that lets me know about multiversal here, not universal. Higher dimensional manipulation, causality piercing through continuous extra dimensional. So they can kind of affect other dimensions, which I guess puts them somewhere in a weird multiversal tier. So dimensional storage. Alien X stores void, stars, and dimensions inside it, which is why it looks the way it does. As Ben and Selena and Bellicus, he can use these elements whenever he wants. Also, the number of dimensions inside of it is infinite, as it restores the entire universe using them in reverse and universes contain infinite dimensions. So, okay, all right, here we go. Attack potency is hyperversal level. Where the hell are we getting this statement from? Repeatedly stated by Azimuth Paradox and the staff to have greatest power in the verse, even introducing the Chrono Navigator, can create and destroy entire analog universes. Traded blows. Okay. Okay, but what does that mean for hypervert? Because I've never. Once you get past multiversal, trying to comprehend and actually quantify and explain what a versal statement of power means becomes very difficult to do. Because you got hyperversal, then you got, and I think outerversal comes before hyperversal, I think. Then you got like the other, but what is the state of existence at that point? That's the problem with trying to quantify it. But so look, I've heard statements saying Alien X, like for someone like Goku, for example, it's got the scaling to beat Alien X, just not the hacks. That's statements I've heard. And honestly, I would buy that, because even though there's certain statements saying that he's the strongest in the verse, based on certain, it's just a weird. Alien X is just a weird combatant when you throw him into fights. I do still personally believe, despite, mind you, I was on Versus Wiki, and that's not always the most reliable. So I would say that Beerus probably still outscales Alien X, but I don't think it's probably by the large margin I thought it was. So I would, lean, mind you, to Alien X. Just because where he truly scales is very difficult to quantify. And if he does scale somewhere more in the multiversal, outer or hyperversal range, well, then he probably does outscale Beerus, or at a minimum, he comes much closer than I gave him credit for. So because of that, and because he has pretty much every hacks that Beerus has, including existence erasure, he could simulate ultra instinct, martial arts experience, energy absorption, all that. I guess I would lean towards Alien X. I still don't think it's an actually easy match for Alien X, though. Beerus would definitely be an individual of power, level of power, who certainly is not to be trifled with, even with someone like Alien X's power. But yeah, this is a weird one. I guess I'll go with Alien X personally, but I can see an avenue where Beerus wins, definitely. It all depends on where you think Alien X really calcs at. That, I think, is the ultimate question, where we ultimately think Alien X calcs at. Because, yeah, it's kind of weird where Alien X kind of stands in terms of the verse, compared to other verses. That was what I mean. But, yeah, I'll go Alien X for now, but look, I'm willing to have my mind changed. And let me know what you think. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Later.